Welcome to the second in our series of SL21b Town Hall events. We had a great turnout yesterday for our inaugural event with the product and engineering team. Through the rest of the week, we'll be chatting with even more virtual world movers and shakers, including our very own moles on Friday. And tomorrow, we will be having a Q&A session with Second Life founder Philip Rosedale. Also, next Monday, July 1st, we are excited to welcome Linden Lab Executive Chairman Oberwolf Linden and Senior Vice President of Product Operations and Marketing Patch Linden for our second Community Roundtable. Today's focus is on product operations, which means we have several members of that team joining us to discuss a wide range of matters, including land, Linden homes, governance, support, and much more. With us today are Senior Vice President of Product Operations and Marketing, Patch Linden, Support Operations Manager, Keira Linden, Product Operations Manager, Derrick Linden, and Creative Producer, Izzy Linden. Now, before we get to the community questions, what I would like to do is just go around and have everybody introduce themselves, tell us what it is you do at Linden Lab, and tell us what you love about Second Life or a funny experience that you've had in Second Life. Tell us a story. Patch, why don't we start with you?
Oh my gosh, a story? We'd be here all day.
A short story?
I've been here over 17 and a half years, I have a lot of stories, but so yeah. Well, as you mentioned, I'm the VP of Product Operations and Marketing. And I've been here over 17 and a half years. I have lots of stories that I could tell, but my favorite thing about Second Life is Second Life. It's everything about it, and our residents and everything that it stands for. There's no way I would still be here, given the testaments and trials and challenges and all of the good and bad and everything in between that has come with it over the years, that I can stand here and firmly say I just genuinely love it, and I love our residents. There's nowhere else, I think, on earth that I could say that about. You know, I'm kind of the other number two on the ship, between myself and Grumpity, and running Second Life with Brad, along with all of my amazing colleagues and Brett and everyone we surround ourselves with. We work really hard to make Second Life be the best it can be and what it is.
Well, I think that the people here today will agree with me when I say that we're very lucky to have you and very glad to be speaking with you and your team today. Keira, why don't you tell us about you?
Sure. I'm Keira. I'm the manager of our support operations team, which includes all of our wonderful support folks who, if you've ever had to contact us, you've spoken with one of them, and also our governance team as well. I started with Linden back in 2008 as a member of our concierge team, which is still around today in a different form, but it's still here. And have kind of jumped around here and there, and ended up where I'm at today. I don't have a story. I mean, I have a lot of stories, but nothing that I can really tell. But my favorite thing is the communities and working with the communities and trying to find solutions to the problems that the communities are encountering as they're trying to build or grow, or just kind of get set up.
All right, so if I am in a community and I need help, you are the person that I want to come to and ask.
Depends on the issue. Being over the support team and governance, I, as you can imagine, am pretty busy. But if it's, if you send in a support ticket and ask for help, depending on what it is, I might be able to help you with it. Yeah.
All right, Derrick, you're up.
Yeah, hi, thank you. So I'm Derrick. I am the Senior Manager of Product Operations here at Linden Lab. I currently wear and have historically worn many hats in my role. Currently, I basically manage the land operations team, the skill gaming team, and I also assist Patch with wrangling all of our fine moles. Um, I've been here for about oh geez, quick math, 13 years. And yeah, as far as what I've learned, what I love, Keira actually stole my answer, but I'm still going to stick with it anyway. It's the community. My team and I have the privilege to talk Second Life with various communities and individuals, and we really get a front row seat to the passion that every single one of these individuals have for Second Life, and it quite frankly fills me with pride to be able to work with these people. And you know, it doesn't always work out to work with them directly, but usually it's something that we can still you know, learn from and get new experiences from, and it's just a fantastic experience for me and my team to be able to work with these individuals.
Thank you very much and welcome. I'm glad you're here with us today. All right, Izzy, last but not least, tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you, Mischievious. I'm Izzy Linden. I've been here like Patch over 17 years. As the creative producer, it's kind of a fancy word for saying project manager of creative projects with the moles. So like Derrick, I work very closely with all of our Linden Department of Public Works, which is a joy to juggle all the different things that we're doing. And for me, what I would say my favorite thing about dealing with Second Life and being a part of Linden Lab, like everybody else said, is the community. More specifically, a lot of times I get Second Life referred to as the internet in a virtual world. And I kind of view our community as somewhat the opposite of the internet, in that the internet's anonymity allows people to say and do things they might not normally do. But in Second Life, the sense of community really shows and pushes forward this sense of empathy, where on a daily basis, I see people speaking out for each other, supporting each other, helping each other out, and building together. And I just am inspired every day by things that I hear and see our residents do and create.
Well, it sounds like all of you have been here involved with Second Life and the lab for years and years, and are very also invested in the communities that make up Second Life. And I think that we're very fortunate to have such a group of dedicated people leading all of this for us. So let's get into some of these questions that the community put together for all of you. Before I actually start on the questions, I do want to invite anybody here in the audience today, if while we're going through questions, a question crosses your mind, please send it to Squeaky. He's up here on the stage. You can IM him and he will be taking questions. And as we have time, we'll answer those after we've gotten through the community questions that we already have. All right, so over the past week, we collected quite a few questions. Um, and among the hottest topics by far are land and Linden homes. So, Patch, I'm going to start with you. Evangeline Arcadia asks, can you update us on the plans to move forward with Linden homes? Are there going to be more premium themes planned or floor plan updates? Or is the focus now mainly on premium plus homes? And what is going to be the timeline for the transition from version 1 homes to the new Belissaria homes?
Wow, that's a lot of questions, kind of in one. It's like Evangeline knows me and she wants to know everything all at once, and I'm not going to tell her or something. I don't know. Well, let's start with we've got plans to return to working on Linden Homes. I know folks have kind of noticed that we pulled back a little bit and took a small break, and hadn't done a whole bunch with them in the very near recent past. But our plan going forward and for the near future looks like an update to adding more floor plans to the log cabins, a new multi parcel size theme for regular premium Linden homes, so 512s and 1024s with different themes, as well as another premium plus theme, and those will both be kind of full theme sets with multiple floor plans. Yeah, so I guess you could say we have a lot of plans to roll out, quite a few new and upcoming Linden Homes floor plan updates and themes coming. As far as timeline, as you can probably guess, we're just getting started on talking about planning, scoping, the themes. I might even be here very soon reaching out for some, community opinion on potential weigh-in on some theme selections. Maybe we'll run some polling. I think that could be fun on the forums and see what people think. I've seen some ideas going through there. I always see ideas going through there on the forums frequently. And we'll maybe see if we can, make a theme dream come true. So we'll do some fun and exciting stuff with it, I think. Yeah, I think the next we'll call it 6 to 12 months will be pretty exciting, and we'll have quite a few things that are both in the works, planned, and up and coming for the newer Linden homes. As far as transitioning off of the old Linden homes, that is something that is always on our minds, and when to start that project and the right time to do so is always under consideration. It comes up every several months, every 6 months. Is now the time to do it? Is next month the time to do it? We're always evaluating it. And the more time that goes on, the more likely it's getting closer. I don't have any hard or firm timeline, commitment, date, or anything like that I think I want to pin us to. But if that were to also happen at some point within the next 6 months to a year, in conjunction with these additional theme updates, which I think will really kind of give us a robust selection across the board of things to choose from, then I would say that could be a likely scenario.
So it sounds like we have a lot to look forward to in the next 6 to 12 months, definitely by next birthday.
Yeah.
All right. Another question for you, Patch. Jordan McFarlane asks, is it possible, or why can't we at this particular time get 2 standard premium homes on a single premium plus account? Would that be something
It's
that you would consider?
it is, and we've thought about it. The issue is, of course, home inventory first and foremost, and allowing people to have multiple homes at once would certainly factor into how much we have available to put out and for people to pick up for folks that don't even have homes, right? The other side of it is technical. The Linden home system, as I think I've described in the past, is kind of old and creaky. It's hard to work on, and it needs updating. Our various priorities and such sometimes have us doing other things. And at some point it will get attention, and it'll be something that we would consider doing, and or being able to mix and match like being able to pick, like for premium plus people, maybe they could have 2 different size homes on 2 different size parcels or something of that nature. Kind of like what you can do right now with mixing and matching mainland and Linden homes together, because you can do that today. But as of right now, mostly the barrier is technical. It's just not possible without some significant engineering time and work on the software that drives the system.
Okay. And there's one more question specifically about Linden Homes from Whisperwood Snowpaw. And they ask, are there any plans on making more diverse plot sizes with existing Belisarian homes? She would love a 2048 square meter treehouse with all the prims that she can use to spruce it up in a neighborhood of her choosing.
Potentially, we have thought about it. The biggest consideration for us is to not create, a whole bunch of things to choose from, right? We want to kind of keep the selection clean and simple and easy to understand. And so the way the system is organized now is, premium plus parcels. It's always implied that all types of those homes, are grouped by theme. And then you pick a floor plan and then that's applied to the parcel, or you can then change that with the mailbox or the home selector on each of the parcels, but that's all grouped into the 2048 package for that particular theme. And for us to kind of like change that around or make it more universally available and such would probably introduce a lot of confusion. And so we're a little wary of being able to say, oh, you can put a treehouse in 2048s without spinning up an entire area of 2048 treehouses, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. So it is something we've thought about. And we'll consider and continue to think about it, but for the sake of trying to keep things balanced and easy to understand, and maybe even a little bit on the simpler side, we tend to shy away from introducing too many options.
Makes sense. Have to have some continuity in the landscape. But you also left it open, saying that it's something that you're considering. So that's encouraging. There is a question here about possible plans to give 10K regions. Many people would like the option to upgrade homesteads from 5K to 10K. Is that something that has ever been considered?
We've considered this too. In fact, we just talked about it fairly recently. I don't want to say too much more about it at the moment. I don't want to get people's hopes up. I don't want to tease anything here. But it is still something that we're, actively considering. The implications, and the impacts to the land economy, the balance, the costs, and everything, have second life changing consequences, right? And that's something that we have to very carefully consider. I think in the past when we've actually been in these and talked about other changes to pricing and premium account changes and things of that nature, I think I've always expressed I'd like to take a very cautious and extremely thoughtful, slow approach to making considerations when we're thinking about a change like that. And sometimes it comes out on the other end that I've deliberated it to the point of no, we shouldn't do it, or what, hey, there's enough reward to the risk, right? And that of course has to be reward not just to Second Life, because Linden is a business and everything too, but also for the residents and you guys, right, and the communities and everything. I'm looking at it from you guys and your lens first, and I want to make sure that it's something that isn't going to break what you do. So when I think about region rentals and parcel rentals and folks who do that sort of stuff with land and Second Life, I have to consider them and their businesses and content creators and the whole gamut. That's I guess why I started with, I have to consider that this is a Second Life changing thing. So that's, I think, where I'll leave it for the moment. But know that, yeah, I'm always actively thinking about ground level product changes that might look like that.
All right. Thank you very much for the answers. I'm going to give Derrick a chance to weigh in on some things now about PBR and how it's affecting mainland. Have a couple of questions. The first one is mainland is really dark with the release of PBR. And do you have any plans to address that?
Oh man. So PBR is obviously a hot topic right now, especially over the last week. And the answer is, quite frankly, yes. We are currently in the process of basically providing a resolution for this specific complaint. I don't want to give a specific timeline, but we are talking likely a matter of days as opposed to weeks. So I'm not promising, this week, but we should have a resolution to this relatively soon. And we certainly hear the concerns here.
All right, thank you for that update. The other question about mainland is, do you have a timeline for 2K GLTF materials on mainland? I know we talked about this. Well, we tried to talk about it a bit yesterday with engineering, and they said, well, product operations can answer that question.
Is there another team that I can pass this question off to? No, but seriously, yes, we are talking about it. This is something that I cannot give a timeline for. This is going to be a longer-tailed project that we are discussing how to take under our wing. The problem here is kind of technical limitations in addition to figuring out the best solution forward. If we were to do some sort of mass update across the land to update the terrain textures, quite frankly, it may not have the best result. The alternative is fixing these by hand or a semi-automated approach, which is probably a better option, but also is going to be incredibly time consuming to roll out across the hundreds, thousands of mainland regions. So we are discussing it. We are attempting to find the best approach that is going to have the least impact on residents. And it's just a matter of making those decisions before we can move forward with it. But it is something that we are absolutely actively talking about.
Well, it makes sense to me that you want to carefully plan this out before you do it, because no matter what, it's going to be a pretty big job because mainland is a pretty big continent. So it's great to hear that you guys are actively thinking about this, and we have 2K textures to look forward to on mainland, 2K PBR textures. All right, well, let's shift to something a little bit more spicy. Derrick, you're on the hot seat again.
I
Henry
think he's starting to pick
Beauchamp,
on me at this point.
yes, Henry Beauchamp asks, in 2023, Linden Lab announced, quote, we are turning attention to the spicier side of Second Life with some bold and innovative new adult-friendly initiatives. As an adult user of Second Life, I do feel very much ostracized and would very much like to see Zindra get some more love from the moles, especially getting it moved closer to the rest of the grid and linked via an adult channel to the rest of the SLCs. Is there any hope to see this happening?
It's not something that we've considered up to this point. It is certainly a decent idea and something that we can consider. However, that being said, and I don't want to disappoint anybody out there, but currently we do not have any current plans to expand on the Zendrick continent. However, there are a lot of very interesting things about the spicy side, adult, that I actually would be speaking out of turn on. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Patch.
Well, sure. Is this where I make my joke about Second Life turning 21 now?
This would be the perfect time.
All right. Well, here we go. So in the background, and as we've kind of alluded to before, we've been considering and thinking about other spicy initiatives and such. And our mission has consistently been to try to foster opportunities for creators, including those in the adult content community. And since the launch of Zindra and Horizons, we've been exploring ways to serve and expand our community of creators and folks interested in mature content. So, in alignment with that mission, I'm just going to kind of say that we have a new project that is an initiative that aims to streamline the onboarding process for new Second Life residents interested in adult content to come into Second Life. It will consist of a new adult-centric welcoming experience. It will introduce them to mature content. It will, primarily focus on helping acclimate them to the platform. It, is a work in progress. We've got quite a bit to do here. It, along with our other various projects, has quite a few different, features to it that include community, living spaces, commercial environments, continental size land masses. It's a whole new look and feel and approach to a new way that we might think of having adult community in Second Life. So we're going to, over the next, we'll call it 6 to 8 months, be working on this in the background, and you'll hear more about it in the future. But we're super excited that we're getting to do this particular project. And I think folks are going to love it. It will be an approach unique to its own, and folks both new and old, I think will be able to come in and enjoy adult content in a new environment and setting that I think will be very fitting for it. So stay tuned. There'll be more to come in the future.
All right. Well, you have teased us very well, Patch. I'm very expectant now to see what the future holds for the adult community in Second Life. All right. Moving on to governance and support. Your team has a lot of direct community interactions related to matters of both support and governance. So naturally, there's a lot of curiosity about past, present, and future policies in these areas. Let's dive into a series of questions tackling all aspects of governance and support. And Keira, I am going to direct these questions to you since this is your area of expertise.
Awesome.
Our a resident asked, what is being done to educate the governance team about symbols and phrases used by far-right groups so that governance can more effectively remove hate from Second Life?
Ooh, that's a good question. So our extremely hardworking governance team does all that they can to stay up to date with emerging trends, language, symbols, everything that could run afoul of our terms of service and community standards. And some of those ways is, obviously going out and doing the research themselves if it's something that we're not familiar with or something that we haven't seen before. We can collaborate with other experts in the field, such as going to seminars or conferences, things like that to kind of keep our knowledge up to date. Obviously, we are relying on in-world abuse reports from you all when something pops up. If we're not familiar with it from your report, they'll go hop out and go research it, share the information among the team, and kind of keep each other up to date in that way. So it's difficult to kind of keep up because there's lots of corners of the world that we don't see pop up very often. So doing that research and having some tools available that help us get that information is really an essential part of their work.
Well, it sounds like you are very proactive in staying on top of this, and that's it should be very reassuring to the community that you are constantly updating yourselves and educating yourselves about possible ways that people can communicate hate.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is context based too. What's hateful to one person may not be hateful to another. So it can sometimes be pretty tricky. So having that information and knowing what's going on and the context it's being used is super important.
Well, I want to thank anarchism enthusiast for asking that question. I needed a moment to pronunciate the name. I wanted to say it correctly, but thank you for submitting that question. It was a good one. Keira, another resident asked, can you provide more specifics on governance tools and tactics? For example, they're asking about content monitoring tools and how that works.
Okay, so some of you have probably heard me say this before, but the short answer is no. We don't discuss the tools or the mechanisms that governance uses during investigations or things like that. Those are proprietary, and if we let all the secrets out of the bag, it would be super hard to catch people doing the things that they shouldn't be doing in Second Life. So most of that is kept private. The longer answer is that if we, I totally lost my train of thought. I know I created a stir when I mentioned automated moderation tools a few weeks back, and I can elaborate on that part a little bit more. We are currently looking at several products and companies that are in the content moderation space who built these tools to see if they would fit with our needs, what the governance team needs, what the company needs, and what the community needs. There's nothing radical about it, but it is necessary to look at ways to make moderation of really egregious content as automated as possible. And I'm talking about that content that is in clear violation of terms of service, potentially violates laws outside of Second Life as well. So we're still in that evaluation process. We're looking at those companies, we're asking them a lot of questions. And while I understand there's some concerns about, how those tools are going to be used, these are just going to be another tool that help us get through abuse reports a little bit faster and removes that offending content a little bit sooner.
Both things that are very helpful to the residents. To
For
know
sure.
that you're going to be able to get through abuse reports more quickly is always going to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
One more question for you, Keira. Will there in the future be a place that ordinary users, I'm assuming that means basic users, can go to complain about real estate agents that are not treating their tenants fairly?
So that can get tricky, right? Because when you are renting a piece of land from somebody else, that's an agreement between you and the person that owns that land, right? Or that is subleasing that land. Linden is not a part of that agreement that the two of you are settling on. And it's kind of gets into a, you said, I said kind of situation when there's no proof of what happened there, what the actual agreement was, or what the intent was behind that. So in terms of governance actions, there's very little that we can do in those cases. But having said that, there may be something that we can do if it is super egregious. And also, it's good to let us know if there's something like that going on, because we might then be able to reach out to the estate owner and find out what's going on, and at least look into it to see if there's anything there that maybe we need to talk to somebody about.
So I have a question. Um, when should a person come to support and file a ticket? If they have, I mean, I know that there are abuse reports that people can file if they feel like they're being harassed or something like that. That's a good example of when to file an abuse report. If they have dealt with something like this real estate and they feel that it's been dealt with unfairly, is the best thing to do just file a support ticket, and you might not be able to do anything, but that's their best recourse?
Yeah, so obviously, if it's a clear violation of the terms of service or the community standards, we want to get that abuse report. That's kind of our evidence, our first piece of evidence in launching an investigation. So it's super important that that report comes in with all the right information we need in order to fill that out. In terms of if it's super egregious and somebody was just scammed for a bunch of Linden dollars, maybe a quick support ticket in, we can take a look at it. The support teams all talk to each other. So if somebody gets a ticket like that, they'll probably ping me and they'll say, hey, just want to let you know this, I got this in. There may not be anything we can do about it, but it's always good for us to have that knowledge and that information, because we don't see everything that happens in Second Life. So having somebody come in and give us a heads up on it as to what's going on is super helpful.
Now, the other thing that I think would be helpful to you would be when someone has an issue with somebody else, two residents have an issue, and say that it's harassment or something, and the one resident is like, I really don't like this, I'm just going to leave, and they log out of Second Life or whatever, but they don't ever file an abuse report.
Mhm.
They just walk away. That's not incredibly helpful to you, right? Because nothing can be done about that other person and their actions to anybody if people don't file abuse reports every single time something
Right.
like that happens.
Right. So in order for us to go out and launch that investigation, we have to have that abuse report. Like I said, that is our first piece of evidence that something was happening. Whether what's happening that's in the ticket is going on, we find that out later. But that's our first step into seeing that something's going on. If no reports get sent in, we have no visibility into what's going on. We don't know that there's a problem. It's kind of like that see something, say something kind of thing. If somebody is violating terms of service, community standards, absolutely send in the abuse report so that we can look into it.
And it's also going to be cumulative, right? So that if someone is a continuous offender, it's helpful to you to see that, as opposed to someone just sending something in and saying, well, this person has been harassing me for a year. Well, if you've never received anything about that, it doesn't help.
It depends on the circumstances. But yeah, if we've never received an abuse report about a situation, we're not going to know that there's anything going on.
Okay. All right, Patch, one for you. There has been a lot of community discussion lately about account sharing and business use. Can you talk a little bit about that and what's been happening?
Yeah. So I know that this has kind of come up recently, and a little bit of a historical perspective on it, because it's something that we've, you know, been aware of, have had challenges with, and have consistently applied policy on over the years. The policy in the terms of service, generally outlines that you shouldn't share your account with another individual, right? It's just to simplify it. We think of your account as something sort of like a financial instrument, right? your account has financial data on it, and it has access to, your billing and payment methods, and it has the ability to spend money, and it has the ability to throw your money out the window, as it were, and do damage, right? Like unrecoverable, irreparable damage, like permanent, like we couldn't recover your inventory sort of thing if they, delete it and then really delete it and empty your trash can type damage. So we're as protective about your accounts as we can be. And over the years, our process and policy and the way we've handled account sharing is something that we've actually been thanked for many times. I can recall several key cases where, unfortunate circumstances and situations have happened where, something has gone wrong, right, with a business relationship, and we'll notice something has gone, a direction it shouldn't, and things suddenly change or have happened with somebody's account, and we take the best precautionary stance and measures we can to try to protect, you and your account. And so, we, try to do the best we can, and have tried to do the best we can with that situation. But, we've heard the call, right? And perhaps times have changed, and I think we're amenable to change. And I think, Keira, you might have some additional information to share about that.
I do. One thing I'm hoping I'm getting across to people is that I am the kind of person who likes to question processes, even ones that have been, ingrained for a very long time. I like to reevaluate processes. Are they still working for us? Are they working for you all? Is it outdated? Does it need to be updated? Unfortunately, those can sometimes take a long time. There's a lot that goes into creating a new process that is totally in opposition to the way that we've operated in the past. So it takes some time. I talk to a lot of teams. I talk to a lot of people, a lot of residents. We have to get, legal involved. We've got to get product involved. Everybody's involved in this process. So I take those kinds of things really seriously and put a lot of time and thought into what is the best way to make this happen. And that's why it always seems like it might take quite a while to get there. But I can tell you with this particular issue, it is getting there. I'm in the process of kind of reviewing our wiki pages and knowledge base articles that touch on account sharing, and seeing what we can do to set up the best and easiest process for everybody to do something like this. Like Patch said, my biggest concern is fraud, right? We want to protect your financial interests. And sometimes, that person that you've known in Second Life for a really, really, really long time and you trust them implicitly, sometimes they run off with your Linden dollars or, do other bad things. And that makes it really difficult for us to then help you and kind of, fix that situation if accounts are being shared. So it takes a little bit. It takes a lot of careful planning to make sure that we're doing the right thing for everybody involved. But it is definitely being worked on.
Okay. Can Linden Lab institute a policy that finally addresses blatant content theft and sales? DMCA filing is a powerful tool, but can Linden Lab consider a beyond a reasonable doubt option that doesn't require people to have to go the legal route to stop bad faith creators?
Yeah, so this one can get kind of tricky. As you can imagine, if we have 2 or more people coming to us saying that they are the original creator of a piece of content, it can be really difficult to determine who the actual creator is. But because intellectual property is protected by law through the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, we have to follow legal guidelines in those instances. So if you feel someone has violated your copyright or otherwise copied your content, we really have to have you fill out the form. Oh, let me grab it. I had it here a second ago. the form here. And we have a special team that reviews those and helps you with the next steps going through that process. Now, I will say that in a very, very, very few cases, it may be more apparent that content is being actively copied. And that we may, and that is like a really, really tiny may, have the ability to do something in those cases. But that is highly, highly, highly unusual. And so the best way to go about getting that looked at is to fill out that DMCA form if you find that you have content that's out there copied.
All right, so the best way to deal with any content copying really is to file that DMCA and get that on file with you.
Right, because then that starts the tracking, and we can actually start like legal. Well, we don't start it, but it gets you into that that legal process of how you protect yourself, not only in Second Life but also out in the rest of the digital world.
Okay. Final question for you, Keira, from Bob Iwashi. He asks, with Second Life having a worldwide user base, why isn't support open 24/7, including US public holidays that the rest of the world doesn't celebrate?
So, okay, so support is reachable via support ticket 24/7. I know that's not what the question is, but I do want people to know that you can always submit a support ticket. And we also have Boxy on the support portal that can answer some very basic questions for you if you have, easier questions. The hours for our live chat and phone support, they're restricted to the current hours after we evaluated the most popular times that were in use. A long, long, long time ago, we were 24/7, 7 days a week, always open. We had people, across the world staffed into it, and times have changed. And the support needs have changed as well, as we have made lots of improvements to Second Life since I started back in 2008. And with all of those improvements comes less and less need for support. So that means that we then can adjust our hours down to be, when we have the most traffic coming in via live chat or phone calls. And so that's how we came up with the current set of hours that we have. Regarding holidays, we made the deliberate decision to grant certain members of our support team time off on US holidays to kind of, spend that time with their families and promote a healthy work-life balance. That's super important to us. But the helm is not left unmanned. Even when we blog that live chat and phones are not available, it's just that we're not staffing for those particular areas of support on those days.
Okay, so if somebody has a problem, they should file a ticket and they will get a response.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, one more question to Derrick. Have a question about asking, how does the lab go about ensuring that charity events held in Second Life are honest and transparent? For example, how do you ensure that fundraising goes to the intended cause or organization?
Ooh, this is an interesting question. Yeah, so we actually have two kind of levels of the way that we work with individuals that are raising funds for charitable organizations. The first and the highest level, of course, is those that we have developed partnerships with. So think our work with the American Cancer Society and the Michael J. Fox Foundation. We've got a partnership and agreements set in place with them on how they can operate and how we can support them in doing so. The kind of lower tier is the individuals that are interested in raising funds inside of Second Life, which is a fantastic cause. We are pretty limited on what we can do unless we start talking partnerships. Basically, we have to limit it to allowing them to list their fundraisers on the destination guide, which we do assist with. What we do in those processes is we basically verify any past fundraisers that they have done for the last several years, or in some cases, we work with the individuals to, if they are working directly with the charitable organization, basically getting verification that they are working with them and have expressed an intent to do so. So there's a couple of options there, but for anything that is being listed in the destination guide specifically, those are being verified that they are legitimate fundraising events and that those funds are making it to the intended charities. And then we continue to verify those after the event has been completed.
Is there a place that lists the verified charities that Second Life works with?
There's not an official place, no. Officially, we only have partnerships in place with the American Cancer Society through the Relay for Life program, and then, of course, the Michael J. Fox Foundation. We don't have a blanket list just because having a list of charities that people donate to doesn't necessarily get the information that give the information that the person or individual resident that is raising the funds is actually doing what they state. So anything that you see that's not listed on the destination guide uh, doesn't necessarily mean that it has not that they're not donating the funds to the intended purpose or stated purpose. They just haven't gone through the process. But anyone that is listed on there, you can rest assured that we have done our homework on making sure they are taking the funds and giving them to where it is stated that they are doing so.
Okay. Um, Hatch, I don't have a question so much as a comment from a resident about the economy and some of the events that residents are planning that affect the economy, specifically the weekend sale events. And this person feels that they are negatively impacting the economy. Weekend sale events encourage creators to sell their items at a fraction of the realistic price just to stay relevant and cover business expenses from land fees to mesh upload costs. Do you have a comment about that?
Well, I mean, if what's being suggested is that weekend sales, like the weekend sale events, I've seen, like the 50 Linden weekend sales and $100 Linden weekend sale events are bad for the economy. I can't say that I, have seen a detrimental effect on the economy itself. As far as like even at the content creator level, I mean, I could see that being competitive and potentially causing some interesting competition. The the downstream effects of that though are probably undervaluing product. So it's interesting, right? Because I don't think that that's something that we would reach our hands in and say, you shouldn't do this. There's various things that have happened over time and in the history of Second Life that we've had to, come in and make policy against, such as gambling, and other things, banks being another one in the past, that have had, clear and present danger type legal ramifications. But in a free market, free trade economy, where supply and demand is, virtually in a way, a thing, of its own, kind of its own unique way. Underpricing things with weekend sale events, I can't say that that's something that we would want to reach in and stop and or comment and say like it's overtly negative or anything like that. So I'll give it some more thought.
Okay. Izzy, you have been very, very quiet, so I feel like I really need to ask you a question.
Oh no, you saw me.
From a resident recently visiting the Welcome Hub, they saw the community exhibition area and some of the larger areas look unused. Are there plans for that area, and how would someone, a community, go about applying to be a part of the community exhibition?
It's a great question. The Second Life Community Exhibition is intended to put great communities on display for our new residents. It's kind of a passion project for me. To date, we've got 2 phases totaling 22 exhibits, and we're actively working on our phase 3, which is going to include those 10 largest exhibit spaces that you mentioned. After completion of phase 3, we're going to begin to cycle in and out new exhibits to keep the exhibit area fresh. With this new phase, we're also going to include a gift spire that will allow new, existing, and also previous exhibitors to leave free gifts for our resident. So definitely keep an eye out for that gift spire. If you're interested in applying to have your community host an exhibit, please fill out our application. There are boards at the community exhibit that you can click on to do so, and I'll also put it here in local chat, the link to go ahead and do so. There we go.
All right. Well, thank you for telling us about that. I know that when you started working on it, we were looking at communities that had come here to the Second Life birthday in past years, and so people here, if you have a community at the birthday, you might want to go check out the community exhibition at the Welcome Hub and see if you want to apply to take up space there.
Absolutely.
All right, I have one more question before we jump into audience questions. And Patch, you haven't said anything about lifetime premium accounts this year. Are there going to be any?
Ooh, I didn't expect that. Well, I don't know. You may have to just come to Friday's Mole Town Hall to find out more. And the number 21 might be involved.
Ooh, now we have an even bigger reason to come on Friday. Not just the moles, but impending announcements from Patch. All right. These are questions from the audience, so I'm going to go through these and we'll see how many we can get through. Patch, Teresa Firelight asks, will you consider allowing the Plus members to get a 512 Linden home with their land allowance?
We have considered this. We considered it both with the, kind of the design of the, value incentives of the, plus product, the premium account product itself. And we've, relitigated it since then. And, right now, no, I don't think we will probably for the, for the nearer future. This also probably has to do with what we may consider doing post old Linden Homes wind down, and getting past that and what may come next. So I don't want to say much more beyond that.
Now that the 8 connected continents can all be traveled to by sea, are there plans to connect the 8 continents together with a road and bridge or tunnel network? Because lots of people have cars and GTFO game is a thing. Again, Patch, this is for you.
Oh, is this for me?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, actually, I was just thinking about this. We will install a brand new shiny multi-lane tollway that will take you from one end to the other. And we will make it so easy. We'll install like the latest and greatest toll pass system so that, we can just kind of direct bill your account for every time you drive up and down the expressway, and to pay for all of the mole time and everything like that, and the infrastructure work, and laying of the foundations and the pylons and the concrete road beds and painting the stripes, all of that stuff, right? Building, these beautiful big toll plazas. We've got to have the dollars to do this. So I think the plan to go forward is we will have, the Mole Expressway Pass, you know, for the new tolling system to go forward, and it'll be glorious.
Sounds like a great idea. Can't wait to be the first person on the toll roads. All right. Sen- see, Senna Astorius asks a very, very important question here. And this is to each and every one of you. What are your favorite pizzas? So we'll start with Izzy. Izzy, what's your favorite pizza?
Pepperoni, sausage, and mushroom.
Derrick.
Oh, I'm gonna say something controversial. Hawaiian. I'm a big fan of pineapple on pizza.
So am I. I never have pizza without pineapple. Keira.
I like veggie, but only if the veg is fresh. I don't like canned or jarred vegetables. Those are gross. But veggie and sausage.
Okay. And Patch, what kind of pizza do you like?
I am taking yours and Derrick's pizza cards away because pizzas are not designed to be fruit salads. And I am going to go with pepperoni.
So we have pepperoni, sausage, and pineapple. And we'll throw in green peppers for Keira. Next question from Sammy Huntsman. Will there ever be multiple partner lines for those in poly relationships?
Ooh. Can I answer this one? Was this for me? Yeah.
Yes, please.
So we have and had and talked about a small project to update you know, the partnership thing in our profiles. And this was absolutely part of it, and being able to create like flexibility around what you can choose and have for your partners and such, and you know, being able to have multiple partners to serve this particular need, specifically a use case, and as many as you know potentially could use. So yes, I don't have a timeline. It's not, you know, something that's currently like sitting right at the top of the things that, you know, are being done. But it is certainly something that has gotten attention. It has actually been designed, and I hope it'll get some work done on it by engineering and product soon.
Very cool. Another question for you, Patch. Will SL ever support more than 2 genders?
So this kind of was an aside of that, actually. Interestingly, that these got asked one after the other. And even like when we went back and looked at, like when we were working on Senra and, you know, kind of coming up with the concept for that, we actually the very first thing I remember this very vividly said as one of the project missives was break the old Second Life avatar skeletal system and redo it so that we can basically be unchained from the bounds of having gender. Of course, as the engineering and such discussions progressed from there, the implications of how massive and impactful of a change that would be, and the amount of work it would take to do that, you know, presented, you know, many hurdles, roadblocks, speed bumps, to accomplish that. So Senra itself at that point, then, you know, to get Senra to move forward as a project, we had to make a departure and say, okay, well, if we want Senra and to accomplish the goals of Senra, we just have to move forward with the project from a content perspective and continue to use the old skeletal system. The notion that we want to do that, though, you know, remains, and it is going to take, you know, a new skeletal system. My idea and my proposal and recommendation was to kind of create a, you know, a secondary or a new generation, right, avatar skeletal system that, you know, you could choose or opt to use, you know, and switch between old and new. That way we don't break any pre-existing content. So you can either be in, old Ruth, based skeletal system, or you could switch to new generation, right? But yeah, hopefully at some point, maybe after all the GLTF stuff and PBR and these creator tools and such kind of proceed, we'll see a return back to doing some avatar and skeletal work.
It's exciting. All right. Still have a few more questions here and still have a little bit of time. So, Izzy, I think that this question is definitely for you. How many lindens does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Ooh, real serious question. Well, I will go ahead and answer that question just as seriously and say that as a Linden, I can't screw in a light bulb, but that's what I have moles for, like you, Mischievious.
So, are we going to get this question asked again on Friday? How many moles does it take to screw in a light bulb?
That's entirely possible. We might even have a poll.
All right, Derrick, one for you from Kat Ubel. Is there any plan to redistribute the parcels labeled as abandoned lands? And will there be new ways of claiming lands that are empty on mainland?
The short answer is yes, in terms of new ways of claiming land. So obviously, we are well aware of the abandoned land on mainland. It is there's plenty of it, quite frankly. We as a team are frequently discussing kind of how we can tackle that because, of course, you don't want to remove the human element from a a resident abandons a parcel to the land team then going and cleaning up the parcel and then getting it back sold to another resident. It's very important that we have that human element because if we remove that element, then there will be absolute chaos. The land team performs a very essential service in what they do in cleaning up and making sure that the mainland stays as nice as we can make it. The We are discussing and experimenting with ways that we can get this abandoned land back into the hands of residents more easily. One of the challenges that we're constantly facing and constantly talking about is how do we get that land back into the hands of residents as quickly as possible. For example, one of the experiments that we're currently running is we are taking land and instead of doing our normal process of allowing residents to request it as abandoned land or putting it in auction, we're actually just cleaning up the land and setting it for sale to anyone at reasonable prices, and then keeping an eye on it to check and see whether or not it's selling. If not, take the price down. And consider basically what we can do to make that land more attractive. So we are constantly thinking about it, and we are experimenting with ways to make it a little bit easier for residents, but also for new residents to be able to obtain land without disrupting the entire economy of land sales and land rentals.
Okay. Thank you. Keira, I have some questions for you.
Yay.
I just keep circling around. When will Second Life update the report abuse on viewers with a video option? I wish it was possible to add YouTube videos because it gives more proof when the person is on voice or HUDing someone.
So that one's another tricky one because video editing tools exist. We cannot action anything that goes on outside of Second Life because we cannot guarantee the authenticity of what we're looking at in those videos. So that's, and we have people who send us YouTube videos and we see it, we can see it, but we don't know, we can't, like I said, we can't verify that it's authentic and that what we're seeing in that video is actually what went on with that person. So that's an unfortunate, side effect of us not being able to do anything there. We have some other things that we are considering when it comes to moderation. I mentioned moderation tools earlier. There's a few things, a few tricks in there that we are considering as well to kind of help with situations where I'm trying to be really cryptic about this on purpose because I can't really talk about it too much. And we haven't signed anything either. So we're looking at different ways to help us with moderation where we appear to be maybe falling a little bit short right now.
Okay. Good to know. Another one, this one specifically comes to you. When will they be rolling out the government ID checker thingy?
That's still being looked at. We don't have a rollout date or anything. As you can tell, sometimes things here at the lab are kind of like government work. It takes a long time to get through the process and to get it fully investigated and get everybody's opinion on it. We're really trying to be careful when we do stuff like that. So as of right now, nothing concrete. It is still under consideration though.
What is the government ID checker thingy?
I think I can't remember where it was mentioned. Was it mentioned at town hall? It was mentioned somewhere in a lab gap or in a town hall that we were looking at, a means of age verification.
Okay, all right. One more. Kenny Luckless asks, what does the TOS say about handling and maintaining a dead friends account if it pushes you over the limits for accounts that you already have? That's to Keira as well.
So in terms of pushing you over the number of accounts, no, that's not going to be a factor in it. But we do have a way, and we do sometimes, suggest, and I will go find the wiki page because we do have a wiki page on it. You can bequeath your accounts and your land to somebody via an official will. And sometimes we suggest that, if you have a substantial investment in Second Life and you want to protect that and pass it on to, a family member or, your business partner, it's a good idea to get that set up. I know it's super morbid to think about writing a will. I mean, I just, there it is. Thanks, Skylar and Tommy. You guys both got it at the same time. It's unfortunately one of those things that we need to think about, but there is a way to kind of protect what you built here in Second Life and leave that legacy still intact by putting it in your will and leaving it for somebody.
It's never too early to make up a will. It's always a good idea. Just have it there in your back pocket. Unfortunately.
Yep.
Patch, I have a question for you. Visha Veerwood asks, have premium plan gifts fallen by the wayside and only moved to Premium Plus?
Oh, no, not at all. I know we haven't done one in a little while, but it's on the radar. I was thinking about that just recently, and I know we're a little behind on getting some stuff out to premium folks, and I think you'll be pleased to know that we've got some stuff coming.
All right. Here's another question for you, Patch. Where do you see Second Life in 10 years' time?
Oh, that's a great question. I think Second Life will continue to thrive, and I think through our efforts with mobile, even our spicy initiatives that we're working on to come, our future plans for more homes and more content and infrastructure and creation tools, modernization of the content system and pipeline, are setting us up for, a great next, not just 10 years, but 20 years, of modernizing and, making the necessary improvements to Second Life to endure that. So I hope that we're all here and continue to be part of it and see its success and continue to be a very important part of many people's lives.
I'm already thinking about themes for SL30B, so we will definitely be here in 10 years' time. Derrick, a question from Liberty Fairlander. Will Linden Lab do something about real estate agents who are grabbing up the best Belisarian parcels and renting them out to non-premium members? We can walk along the coastlines of some of the regions and see home after home taken by residents with names that are almost exactly identical and are being used by other people. It's turning the coastlines into Anchi-Chung-like operation of Belisaria.
This is really actually fascinating to hear. The short answer is yes. We absolutely will do something. We just need to be aware of who is doing it. It is, I believe, actually close to, if not the top line of the Linden Home, the Belisaria covenant that states that you cannot sublease parcels. So if this is happening, we definitely want to hear about it. And please file an abuse report so that we can get that addressed.
Again, the importance of abuse reports. Keira, a question for you from Bella Tolson. I wish to ask about the AR of things we see against the Linden Homes Covenant, like outside parcel, out of theme. Is there a priority on the focus on the faults, or some themes are being more excusable than others? Lately, it takes longer than before to fix clear covenant abuses. Many taller than covenant allow add-ons are being sold on the marketplace as well.
You know, there's so much about abuse reports and governance I would love to tell everybody, but I can't. For this particular issue, you know, anytime we get a report in, the system will kind of automatically triage it and put it in kind of a severity order, right? So that, sorry, so that the more egregious violations are, you know, first. We get those get our attention like right away. So we do go through those. The covenant ones, they may take a little bit longer for us to get to, but we do get through those as well. In terms of the items that are being sold on the marketplace, you know, you can sell whatever you want. And it's, you know, kind of if you're buying it, you know, you got to be aware that it might not be something that you can put on a Linden home region. But yeah, we do go through all of those and we do review them as soon as we can.
All right, good to know. Patch, a couple of questions for you from Skylar Pancake. Are there any active efforts at making Linden Lab more accessible to all users by creating or promoting tools such as text-to-voice and voice-to-text services?
Yeah, actually, this question came up yesterday to product and engineering. There is, and they are working on it actively, and it's part of the project where they're working on server-side translation. There isn't a timeline or an ETA on the voice side of it, because I know that there's some other things in the works there around voice, so I don't want to misspeak and misrepresent the team and what they said yesterday, but they did talk about it yesterday, and I do know it's something that they are actively working on.
All right, I do know that we talked about that some yesterday, so it does definitely seem like it's something that is in their sights. There have been numerous questions about the SL20b sweepstakes car from last year and who won that. Patch, can you tell us anything more about that?
Yeah, so it was one. That much I can share with you. The state in which the person won the car had the legal option to remain anonymous and or choose to not be disclosed. So they did so. Yeah, no, I did not win it. So yeah, interestingly enough, congratulations to them, even though nobody is unfortunately allowed to know who they are. But yeah, it certainly was one, and it was pretty cool.
Very exciting. Okay, so the question from the audience, last question that I have here is, are all of you sitting around a conference table participating in this town hall, or are you all at home talking into your headsets?
Well, I can go first. I'm sitting in the Atlanta office talking into my headset at my desk.
I really wish I was at home, but I am not. I'm in the Atlanta office as well.
Derrick,
Join-
where are you?
I am connecting from the Moon Lab from Texas.
And I'm joining the bandwagon with Patch and Keira, coming from my desk in the Atlanta office.
So all three of you are in the Atlanta office, but you're all sitting in separate rooms.
Correct.
Yep.
We are.
We're
That makes it
antisocial.
so that way we don't. Well, and it makes it so that way we don't echo in each other's headsets.
That's true. That's true. So I want to know more about the Moon Lab.
The Moon Lab is a fantastic place. So actually, it's here at Linden Lab. We of course do have a split between in-office employees and remote employees. We refer to our remote employees as Moon Labbers.
Cool. I did not know that. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Patch, Keira, Derrick, and Izzy, it's been a joy talking to you. The audience has been great. We've enjoyed all the questions that you've sent into us. Thank you so much for coming. Tomorrow, Philip Rosedale will be here. Brett Linden will be interviewing him, doing a Q&A session with him. And it will be right here at the Aquatorium tomorrow at, you can come and sit down at 1 p.m. SLT. Same bat time, same bat channel. Hope to see
Thank
you all here.
Mischievious.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Missy.
everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
And Thank you, thank everyone. Missy.
Yeah. Bestie, would you hate me if I asked if you to date me? If I wrote a letter where I told you how I'm feeling, would you wanna meet me where I'm at to see if we could go much deeper? Or could you never?